Think and Grow Rich has sold over 100 million copies. It's been called the granddaddy of all self-help books. Tony Robbins promotes it. Damon John of Shark Tank credits it as life-changing. It's been continuously in print since 1937. And here's the part nobody tells you. The author Napoleon Hill was almost certainly a con artist. He ran multiple scam colleges. He fled state lines with arrest warrants. The FTC charged him with false advertising. There's zero evidence he ever actually met Andrew Carnegie, even though his entire book is built on that supposed mentorship. So today, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to give you the actual ideas in Think and Grow Rich. The few that work, the ones that don't. And whether you should read this book in 2026, knowing what we now know about its author. Welcome to Earnings Per Page, where I distill the world's best finance and business books into under 10 minutes. If you want the wisdom without the slog, hit subscribe. Let's get into it. The premise of the book. Hill claims that in 1908, Andrew Carnegie, then the richest man in the world, challenged him to spend 20 years interviewing the most successful people in America to discover the universal principles of wealth. The result, 13 Steps to Riches. We'll cover those, but fair warning, modern researchers have searched archives, and Hill's supposed Carnegie Commission appears to be entirely fabricated. There's no record of the meeting, no correspondence, nothing. Now, the ideas themselves. Lesson 1. Burning desire is the starting point. Hill argues that vague wishes never produce wealth. Specific, intense, obsessive desire does. Want to be rich? You need to know exactly how much, by when, and what you'll give for it. The skeptic in me wants to dismiss this. The realist has to admit it's true. People who succeed at anything difficult have a clarity of want that most people lack, so this part actually holds up. Lesson 2. Faith and visualization. Here's where the book gets shaky. Hill argues that if you visualize wealth intensely enough, the universe will provide it. He gives examples like a preacher who decided he wanted $1 million and, shocker, got it. This is essentially the foundation of what later became the secret and law of attraction thinking. Modern research is clear. Visualization helps you prepare and recognize opportunities, but it doesn't summon them from the void. The book's claims here aren't just outdated. They're misleading. Lesson 3. Specialized knowledge. This one's solid. Hill argues that general knowledge, the kind you get in school, doesn't make you rich. Specialized knowledge, applied through organized plans, does. The lawyer who knows everything about tax law makes more than the lawyer who knows a little about everything. The mechanic who specializes in classic cars makes more than the generalist. Pick a lane, get deep, get paid. Lesson 4. The mastermind principle. Hill argues that two or more minds working in harmony, coordinating around a definite purpose, produce a third mind of collective intelligence that's greater than the sum of its parts. This idea has held up surprisingly well. Modern psychology calls it collective intelligence, and the data shows that high-functioning teams really do outperform even brilliant solo workers. Find your mastermind. Surround yourself with people slightly better than you. Lesson 5. Persistence. Hill writes that the most consistent trait of every wealthy person he studied wasn't intelligence, talent, or luck. It was the refusal to quit. He gives the example of R.U. Darby, who quit gold mining 3 feet from the largest gold strike of the era. 3 feet. The buyer who took over found it within hours. The lesson: most failure happens just before the breakthrough. Whether or not Hill embellished his stories, this lesson is consistent with modern data. Persistence is the most underrated success factor in human achievement. Lesson 6. The subconscious mind. Hill spends entire chapters on training your subconscious through autosuggestion, repeating affirmations, visualizing goals, programming your inner self for wealth. Some of this is genuinely useful. The modern field of cognitive behavioral therapy validates that what you tell yourself shapes your reality. Some of it veers into mystical territory. Hill talks about vibrations connecting your mind to infinite intelligence. Take the practical, leave the magical. Lesson 7. Decisive action. Hill found that wealthy people make decisions quickly and change them slowly. Poor people do the opposite. They deliberate forever, then flip-flop at the first sign of trouble. There's strong modern evidence for this. Decision fatigue is real. Once you've made a thoughtful choice, executing matters more than reconsidering. Now, what I disagree with beyond the author's biography. First, the book is a product of 1937 America. Written for white American men with specific assumptions about opportunity. The anyone can be rich if they just want it badly enough. Framing ignores systemic barriers, generational wealth, and pure luck. The book is also relentlessly evangelical. Hill writes with the certainty of a televangelist, complete with claims he can't possibly back up, like the absurd assertion that bald men are bald because of fear of criticism. Yes, that's a real claim in the book. Second, the gendered language is severe. Women are barely mentioned, and when they are, it's mostly as obstacles to men's ambition. There's an entire chapter on the mystery of sex transmutation that argues men's sex drive can be channeled into wealth building. It hasn't aged well. Third, and this is the big one, the book sells a fundamentally dangerous idea that thinking the right thoughts is enough. It's not. Action matters more than mindset. Strategy beats visualization. The book systematically downplays the role of effort, environment, and skill in favor of belief and desire. Final verdict. Should you read Think and Grow Rich? Honestly, no. Not as your first finance book. Read Atomic Habits, The Psychology of Money, or even Rich Dad Poor Dad first. If you're collecting classics for context to understand the lineage of modern self-help, then yes, read it once. Just read it as a historical artifact, not a how-to manual. And read it knowing the author was a documented fraud. My rating, 5 out of 10. Some genuinely useful principles buried in mysticism, dated thinking, and the lies of a man who never lived what he preached. If this changed how you see this so-called classic, subscribe to Earnings Per Page. Next week, I'm breaking down The Richest Man in Babylon, a book that's genuinely older than Think and Grow Rich, but somehow holds up dramatically better. Drop a comment with which book you want me to cover after that. See you in the next one.